So, good afternoon, everyone. So, we had a really nice session right now on the proactive crisis communication strategies. Moving beyond that, our panel for this discussion is about moving beyond reputation management. We have two experts from the domain who are in the industry over 2 to 3 decades, who are experts in this field, who are communication specialists. Any questions anyone has, they are all free to throw at them. But before I start with the panel, Sanjeev sir and Nitin sir, I would like you to, give a brief introduction on how this industry has inculcated in you.
Hi, thank you, Reema, and good afternoon, everyone. So talking about the industry, I think today could not have been a better time for all of us to be here in India, especially with India poised where it is growing, where it's headed, could be the third largest economy as we go forward. And therefore, coming from a higher level to the industry level, all industries are doing well. I would say all by and large. Especially the industry that I come from, auto industry, has done phenomenally well. In fact, last year has been phenomenal for Maruti Suzuki, where I work. We've sold more than 2 million cars in a year, which is the highest ever. And if that is something as a number to speak of, you can talk about the entire industry crossing 4 million very soon this year. That would be a way forward. Technologies are changing in a large way, and technology will make influence into everyday's life, everybody's work life, everybody's business life, everybody's engagements. And let's see how overall the coming 2 months really happen ahead. We'll really face where we take off from here, whether the trajectory is going to be a hairpin bend downwards or it's going to just be a hockey stick right up. That time will tell.
Sanjeev, I'd absolutely echo your thought. India is in a sweet spot or Goldilocks scenario, as some of the economists and stock market observers would like to say. We've seen that, of course, in Maruti, fabulous numbers, but also in our industry, which is travel and hospitality. And in our company as well, the occupancy levels in hotels are increasing. The ARR, as they say, which is sort of the average room rate, is increasing. You guys would have seen this happening across all segments in the hospitality industry. So right from aviation companies to even the luxury hotel segments have seen the best of times that they ever have seen. However, at the same time, we're living in different realities. While India is in the space that it is, by the virtue of me having a global mandate, we also see how things are really different in other parts of the world. How there's borderline despondency, I would say, in certain parts of Europe. Some are doing well, of course. US, of course, as you would have also seen, is middling. So mild recession, as some would call it, but still there are pockets of growth. But I think before we get ahead of ourselves, we missed introducing ourselves. We shouldn't assume that everybody sitting here would know us. So since I am talking, I'll continue and then pass back to Sanjeev for his introduction. I'm currently the Global Head of Strategic Alliances and Communication at OYO. I have been here for about 2.5 years. For those of whom may not know, OYO is a global travel technology company. It's in 35 countries, and it's a technology platform which has about 170,000 hotels and vacation homes across the world. I have been in the profession for 25 years. Before OYO, I was heading brand and communication for the Max Group, which is an Indian conglomerate, which had multiple. Hi, yeah. At times, it's divested, but insurance, healthcare, real estate, senior living, and stuff. Earlier, I worked with companies like Microsoft, and I've also been on the PR agency side, worked with multiple agencies. Thank you.
Nitin, thank you so much. I think in the, you should never have a clock ticking in front of you. I totally forgot about it. Reema did hint at introducing ourselves, and my apologies to everyone seated here. My name is Sanjeev Handa, and I head the PR and communications at Maruti. Would have been evident in the answer that I gave. Maruti needs no introduction, so I'll save my breath on that. And I've been with the company now about nearly 18 years. I've had the mandate of heading marketing before this. So get a fair mix of marketing, PR, and being on, when they say this side and that side, which is on one side of the table and the other, I've also been on the agency side as well. So fairly, I would say, kind of cumulative 360 degrees of communication background. And happy to be here, and I would love to take, like Nitin said, or Reema said rather, questions from the audience if there are any. We'd be happy to take that on.
So Nitin sir, you said that to give your introduction, but I don't think that the two of you need any introduction here, to be honest. And with the brands that you are engaged with, Oyo and Maruti Suzuki, as Sanjeev sir also said, they do not need an introduction here. So, starting with, since our topic is moving beyond reputation management, in your view, this strategic shift from reputation management to a broader approach, how has it, how does it impact the overall business objectives? Are there more measurable outcomes when we talk about business, when we move beyond reputation management? Nitin sir, if we start with you on this, what do you believe that how is the movement happening?
So the way I would like to frame it is to say that, and I like to keep the answers very, very real and give specific examples so that it can get really, the practitioners sitting here can identify with it, it can really help them. So I think at one end, in a lot of organization, this area of PR, corporate communication, reputation management, whichever moniker you call it with, is given reasonable importance. In a lot of organizations, it's sort of a sub-function, not even a proper function. While every CEO, and there have been many polls and researches on this in India and abroad, every CEO, CFO, and other CXOs give very high ratings to the reputation of their organization and the importance that it has on its business performance. However, they're always frustrated with the fact that the PR folks in their company end up talking a language which is slightly different. They can't reconcile. They can understand the growth in tone of voice, share of voice, and other such matrices that we talk about, overall reach, engagement levels. But they're frustrated with the connect that they can form with it to the real business outcomes, right? And therefore, it is imperative for success of this function that all of us, over a period of time as we grow and gain more experience, start driving the stronger connect between reputation management and mainstream business outcomes. And I think the starting point for that itself is to mentally start thinking of ourselves as a business function and not a support function. It is about having an in-depth understanding of what are the levers and pivots that make business or the organization you are in work. How do sales happen? What are the legal implications? What is the regulatory minefields, etc., and so on. At a time where you start feeling that you are equipped or you have enough understanding to be, for argument's sake, let's say even the chief operating officer of your company, etc., is where you start feeling confident that you'll be able to draw interlinkages between mainstream business and PR. You'll be able to devise campaigns and outcomes which talk directly to business. All right? This is a journey that I have tried to do, for instance, in my latest organization. This second designation which got bolted on, which is strategic alliances, was just to validate the kind of things one has been trying to do. So it's almost trying to work reputation backward. So again, and I said I'll try and keep it real and give real life examples, etc. If I'm working in a budget hotels category, I can't make them look aspirational beyond a point. If I was to wear the business hat, there are two ways I can solve this. Either move into a more premium hotel segment, which is a very crowded space with lesser margins, so probably not a viable option. The other is to probably try and have uniqueness in some of the hotels that I do. Now, the business realizes that, but nobody has the time, to do this or the bandwidth. So, as a part of the strategic alliances role, for instance, is trying to launch a chain of unique hotels. Each would be an Insta-worthy hotel in the budget segment. And it is the PR team members who are actually driving this new line of business from its inception onwards to its scaling up, right? So you gotta get your hands dirty, not sit on the side and say, get us in the room at an early stage when you're trying to launch a new product or category. But it's actually to even go beyond and say, for my reputation to change, this is what needs to happen, but it needs to be viable as well. So if nobody else is doing it, we'll go ahead, pilot, experiment, and execute it. So that's the point of arrival that I dream most of us in the room will be able to do. So I'll pause here.
So, similarly to you, Sanjeev sir, that when we talk about, you have been in this industry, there's not only one role that you cater to, there's an amalgamation of a lot of roles. In your perspective as well, how do you move beyond that reputation management, and how does it impact the overall business goals? Do you see a measurable outcome, this impact of moving beyond reputation management?
See, I don't really understand the term saying moving beyond reputation management. I really don't think there's anything that goes beyond a reputation. Today, a brand stands true for what it delivers and what it stands for. So today, let's say, okay, if I am a brand, forget about the company that I come in from right now, Maruti is a most reliable brand in the country today. But as a person, if you have to build your brand, the first thing that comes up is your reputation. You have to stand true for what you believe, for what are your values and what you deliver. And I think they need to be delivered in a very holistic and a very proactive way. For a brand like Maruti, we do it very, very stringently in all aspects of the communication, whether it's marketing-led advertising or it's PR-led, communication through various medias, whether it's social media, digital media, newsprint, anything. The message has to be consistent. If the word is reliability and trust, then it should resonate with the audience in the right way. And therefore, clarity of the message, how you deliver it, and the way you deliver it. And the way you deliver it, when I say, is the product that you give. So the proof of the pudding is the pudding itself. If the product is good and stands for the values that you've stated, it will build the reputation. And today, reputation is actually significantly impacting business operations. Nitin said that, so I won't delve deeper on it. But the reality is, it is impacting it in a big way.
Understood. So, Nitin sir, now when we talk about adapting PR strategies, for building brands and building personal brands and driving businesses per se, on that note, how would you say are the PR strategies are designed when we, strategically collaborate in order which contribute to both business growth and whereas brand enhancement?
I'll first defer this to Sanjeev. When we started and when we were outside the room, I said I'll follow Sanjeev's lead. And that's not happening, so I'm just...
Sure. If you could just repeat it, I'm sorry. I was going to engage very actively.
Very actively, what I was into. So, what I would like to know, when we talk about these, adapting PR strategies, how are these strategies adapted when we are collaborating? Strategic collaborations happen, partnerships happen, alliances happen. how do they help in, brand enhancement and brand resilience?
See, anything that leads to, uh, if you want the brand enhancement to really happen, and whether it's alliances or whether it's collaborations, you leave that aside. Anything that you do, you will have to add value to it at the first stage. When I say that how are you adding value in the PR strategic domains? Then you're simply looking at first creating trustworthy communication. You're creating very, very timely communication. In fact, I was in the last session, I was sitting here and listening at one of the panelists had said very clearly, time is of the real essence. It was about crisis management, we are not talking about that here, but time in any communication is of a great essence. So whether if it's alliances, it matters that we start before, not after the alliance is announced. How the alliance is being made, what are the strengths, what are the values that both the alliances get together? Is there a coherence in them? Is there something that each stand for and therefore the alliance is like made in heaven? That has to be communicated. It has to be communicated in a very story-led format. It has to sink in with the audience and not just be an information that just blipped as a headline. So that people believe in it. And if they believe in it, it sticks for a long time.
Understood. Nitin sir, your take on it? And you can agree and disagree both on it.
I dare not disagree with Sanjeev, so no, too risky. Now, I think again, I just try and keep it very real. This is a bit of an extension of what we were speaking about earlier, and I think, which is the theme of saying, how do you go beyond just pure media relation or social media management, etc., and try and do different things. I think a lot of brands have tried some very innovative stuff around it. So the only point that I'll try and make is just take business priorities one by one and try and problem solve for it. A lot of time those solutions may not come from within your company or brand alone. A lot of times you can accelerate the solution by forming alliances with other categories, companies, institutions, etc. Again, just to give you a couple of examples, with our brand, one of the things that we continued fighting with was impression, because it's budget hotel, all kind of seedy activities may be happening, and the brand may in some way be complacent about it, if not colluding. So one of the solutions again that business team tried to bring in is that we going state by state and forming partnership with the police chiefs of each of these cities in doing public campaign around guest safety and avoiding of immoral activities along with our hoteliers. Again, something that we pushed for. I won't say this is very creative or innovative, but it's effective. And we're seeing a needle moving both in our guests' perception of what's done in a hotel and even the law enforcement. I'll give you another example. You can't make a budget brand aspirational, but you can then try and have some, other association which is a little more inspiring to people. So what we try to do is take our founder, trying to make his personality brand connect more inspirational, etc. And take him more mainstream. So recently we had him go in as a judge at Shark Tank, which is the third season of which was announced and will start airing from 22nd, right? To make him more human, we're taking him to Ayodhya. Again, this is tactical, but this is also topical. So I'm giving this example, right? And we'll make him vlog live on YouTube, something that he's never done outside his comfort brand. But the thing that was driving this was to say, the brand has a predominant mindset of being used for a particular purpose, but why not show that about 25% of our users are actually in spiritual destination. They are pilgrimage travelers or spiritual travelers. So bring it top of the mind, and we've tied up with Ayodhya Development Authority around it. It's just some examples of how you can make alliances work in improving the reputation.
Nitin, I just wanted to add, Reema, with your permission. He stated a very interesting fact, I'm sure if audiences heard that. He was indirectly hinting at OYO standing for safety, and therefore he associated that value with the police that you did. I think subliminally, you are actually setting, that exactly, exemplifies, thank you, I'll maybe quote this as an example somewhere, very nicely how the value, what you stand, and when you ally with somebody, it resonates well. It's a perfect thing.
Example. So,
Thank you for.
again, when we have, so we will not talk about crisis communication. We covered it in the previous panel. But what I would like to know is,
You really keen to talk about it, though. Right?
I am very, I am very curious that two experts who are sitting here with me, they have their had, long journey in the industry. And this is a, very specific area because brands are always very curious because a lot of times, a lot of campaigns, it can backfire. So I will not talk about crisis communication, but how are you organizing? Because how are you reacting, that reactive crisis management? How are you training your organization when it comes to OYO or when it comes to Maruti? Nitin, so if we start with you, because
So we are talking about it eventually. While we're not talking about it.
I am not talking about what you do in it. I am asking that how are you training the people out there that what should be the right approach to handle it in order to rebuild trust?
Sure, I'll lead.
Okay. So, I go as the opening batsman, thank you. But then I always take the risk. See, a stitch in time saves nine is an old saying, but that does not still prevent that you will not have a wardrobe malfunction. It happens. Invariably may happen, sometime will happen. So crisis is similar to that. Crisis is not something that you want to happen and should happen, but at the same time, as an organization, you have to be prepared that should it happen, what would be the best way forward? You should not start thinking when the crisis happens. You should be acting at that time. Its action is more important. So to be prepared for the action, what you said. As an organization, we geared up in a large way. We have a complete thing called a risk management team, which first thing it does is identifies the risks. Now the risks could be of amplified forms, could be political, social, geopolitical, manufacturing, production. Currently everybody heard about the chip crisis that happened after the COVID. It could be COVID itself. So crisis can take various forms. Risk team identifies those risks. And in our company, in Maruti Suzuki, risk is taken very seriously to the extent that even it's actually at the board level it's discussed. Any risk, any parameters, any outcomes, any mitigation steps that would need to be taken. Second, we form a core function team. A core function team insists of people from communications, people from legal, people from production, people from finance, people from the CMOs, CXOs, all are there. Basically, they are there so that should there be a crisis, they get together very fast and they know a decision has to be taken immediately. You cannot wait to answer to a crisis. It should be done fast. And last and not the least is when you have such a team, corporate communications roles comes up that we do mock drills with them. Much like you do the safety drills, fire drills, earthquake drills, you do the risk drill also. So you kind of educate them that what should happen and how they should react. So some simple steps. I will leave it to Nitin. I'm sure he'll also like to value add to it.
Nitin sir, do not want to answer any questions on crisis communication. But sir, this is something I definitely want to know that with OYO, are there any programs or training programs or anything that we are aiming to enhance when it comes to brands especially? Because whether it be Maruti Suzuki as a brand or OYO as a brand, they're big names in the market. So to prepare for it beforehand is what are the things that are taken care of in order to manage the entire team that, okay, this situation should not arise even minutely.
Yeah, sure. No, I will talk about it. No problem. Yeah, I think this is more stable. Uh, so, first of all, I think my perspective in this subject, tomes have been written about crisis management, right? How do you conduct triage? How do you form that virtuous cycle where you take on one axis people who are vocal and those who are not, and then the ones who will speak in your favor, and the other axis take people who are for you and people who are against you in a crisis, and you try and move that whole thing clockwise, right? So I'm not going to dwell on the theory. Again, as I said, I'll try and keep things practical and real. I have seen the maximum value that a corporate communication professional can add, especially when you heading the function at those senior levels, is to look at crisis preparedness and mitigation beyond what risk management committee does, right, on the internal audit team does and prepare for it, which is to be able to read the tea leaves or read the signs of what are the issues or crises your companies can genuinely be hit in, the high likelihood ones, and preparing ground, right, so that it lands smoothly. Now, this again may sound a little esoteric, but again, I'll try and make it real. If, for instance, this is more an issue management, not crisis management. If your company is expected, for a lot of startups, this used to happen now, not any longer as much, is about to make massive losses in the forthcoming quarter or a year, etc., and so on. How do you prepare ground for it? If your performance gonna suffer, what's the expectation? If there's a valuation markdown that you anticipate may happen in the next round of funding for a startup, in genuine sense, how do you ensure that when that actually happens, right, the market's not caused by surprise and you don't have suddenly an onslaught of criticism, right? We can do a separate session on how it can be done. We've tried and we've been reasonably successful in the last 1.5 years to do stuff like that. Coming to crisis, which is more accidents or problems that can happen. Again, when you have such a large portfolio of hotels, right, incident will just keep happening. It's law of averages. In lakhs of hotels, something or the other would happen. And again, the trick is how do you prepare? And one of the alliances that I spoke about, for example, right, you're going to have all sorts of activities end up happening in your hotel. You can't keep a full check, right? But you can show your intention beforehand, which is why I said we tying up with police, making public statements that our intent is to make sure that don't happen, but they still may. So that when they do actually happen, the organization is not seen as somebody who's lackadaisical about it, or encourages in any manner, etc., and so on. So really, I think in this long narration, I was not able to really bring it alive, but anticipate, create perception or expectation in the market, and then let it land smoothly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Finally, you spoke about it. I am very happy. But thank you so much, Nitin sir. Thank you so much, Sanjeev sir, for your presence. Thank you so much.